I am Chauncey Williams, the coordinator of student success here at MCEC, which stands for Muskegon Community Education Center, the space where the center of your child's education is magnified in the collaborating community. Our focus here at MCEC is community involvement, careers, social emotional learning, and nutrition. What's up, PK? What or who do we have on the agenda today, fam?
Well, it's a big blast from the past for me. It would be a little problem if we didn't have Facebook and social media, but we have Teyondra Burch, who's an educator, an entrepreneur. She basically does it all. And for those of you who may be tuning in, who knew her back in high school, you knew back then she was going to do something big because she just has that about her. She's got the X factor. So we got her back here today, back in the Ski Live to talk and share her alternative narrative. That's what the show is about, is that alternative narrative. So welcome, Teyondra, Tay Burch, as you're known in some circles. We're so glad that you're able to take some time out today. So Chauncey, fire those questions because she's ready and she's got 46 and a half minutes and we're going to take everyone.
Right. That's right. So my job here is career readiness and just looking at the capacity of how we are building that. But I see you in the field and you're working with students. And how did you get to a space where you're educated, you're doing this opportunity where you have this, what is it? It's a preschool, is it an after school program? How did you get in this space?
I do a lot. So my real job, my 9 to 5, I work for Kent ISD and I work at a career tech center. And what makes it interesting is I teach high school students about working with preschool kids. So we have a live preschool here on campus that my students go in and volunteer at. I'm blessed enough that my son is there, so I get to see him all day. He rides here with me every day. And it's just amazing. This is my first year actually completely teaching on my own. The teacher that was here retired. So I signed my first teacher contract on January 4th. Thank you. And it's been crazy. You always know, like I always wanted to help kids, but the paperwork is like, what? Because you don't think about that when you think about kids. So that's my regular job. My other part is Teens Tutor Time. I tutor kids from K through 12 in reading and writing mostly. I try to help with math, but I do not advertise that because it is not my specialty. And it's just been a blast. I was a literacy tutor for 2 years with AmeriCorps, and after I got done with that, I was like, I need to do something more and still be able to connect with my community after coming here. And I've been through all the spaces, daycare, preschool, all of those things. I've touched base in them. Elementary, the only thing I won't touch is middle school because those kids are a whole world of their own. But yeah, I do that. And how I got here, my mom was, it was just me and her. And PK will tell you I was horrible, but he always told me it was so much more to me than what I was giving. And it didn't take until I was in college paying for it in cash that I was like, oh, it's something going on. So between PK and Miss Fox, they were like driving forces in my life. Anne-Marie Easley, like anger management. I was in anger management with Ms. Easley. So it was different levels and different people who like pushed me to be better because I was in that place of being stagnant before going to college. And then now I want to excel and teach other people how to excel. With Teens Tutor Time, I take a, I guess, emotional approach. I like to meet the kids where they are. It's not all about just learning how to read, but being confident in yourself. So I just pour my all into that. My son, like I said, and I've been doing that since 2017 and I've been here since 2015. So.
Wow. So I want to say this too. It's a book I've been reading. It's by Paul Tuff and it's called Whatever It Takes with about Jeffrey Canada establishing the 100 blocks in Harlem. And in the book, and I know you said preschool, what's that age? Is it 3, 4, 5?
Classroom is 4 because it's GSRP. Okay. GSRP is all over. It's free. I don't know if you guys have seen like the articles, but Biden is pushing for every 4-year-old to be able to go to preschool. Right now, it's really low income unless you get lucky and the low income kids don't take all the spots. So he's pushing because preschool is pivotal. Birth through 5 is the age range where kids learn the most. If they don't excel then, they're more than likely going to be behind for the rest of their time. So it's super important to implant those skills from the beginning so that they can grow. So being able to get these kids while they're in high school and teaching them how important that is, hopefully they'll become teachers in the future. So yeah, 3 to 5 sometimes. If they're going to like daycare, they can start at 3, but most of the time it's 4 for like actual school, unless they have like disabilities. So my son is autistic and he was able to go at 3, and he was like in the ECSC, which is early childhood special education for kids that they know have like different disabilities that will hold them behind a little bit.
Yeah. It's in the book I've been reading this, and it's great that we have you on here today because it was talking about the most basic difference in the number of discouragements of a child heard, prohibitions, words of disapproval compared to the number of encouragements for the words of praise or approval. By age 3, the average professional child will hear 500,000 encouragements and 80,000 discouragements. But for the child on welfare or underserved community, the ratio is reversed. They would hear an average of 80% encouragements to 200,000 discouragements. So by having this early preschool, I see the movement of being able to encourage a kid more with professionals in front of them, because it's a disparity between those two groups.
And I tell parents all the time, I was tutoring the other day and the parent said, she don't listen, do she? I said, we don't speak negative around kids. Anything you say around the kid, even if they're not where they need to be, is, oh, you're getting there. You're trying. You did that really, really well. So pushing those things that they do positive so they can get confident and do those things that they can't really do well. Our kids' biggest disadvantage is confidence. They don't think, so they don't do. Kids don't like being wrong. So you're putting them in spaces where their parents don't really know. So putting them in front of those professionals, give them that. I tell people all the time, I'm an advocate for your kids going to school where you live, because we take our kids out of where they live, where they're comfortable, and put them in these places where they're already behind, because these kids that go to these more privileged schools, their parents, they've been with nannies since they were born. They've been in childcare. They've been in all of that. So they're already above your kids. So you send your kids to a new school, and the first semester, they're telling them your kids are behind. They were behind when they got there because their lifestyles aren't the same. It starts at home. And a lot of parents don't have the resources for it to be at home. So we want to give kids as much as they can, even that, oh, you didn't tie 2 bunnies? We go give you 1 bunny, and then I'll tie the other one and we'll tie your shoes. Things simple as that start out, and you think that they're minute and small, they're huge in their confidence. And that's going to change the trajectory of everything that they do.
Yeah. So here's my next question. I'm gonna get ready to spin it off because
doing all the good ones. Come on,
I read so many books, man, and I'm like, and I'm trying to make sure I prepare for our guests, because you tell us this guest coming. I say, all right, I got this book for this person. So how do you prepare a parent for preschool coming into your environment? Is there some type of workshop or something that they do before their kid come in this space before they're selected?
This isn't my preschool. The big ones is mine. These high school ones are mine. The big ones are mine. I left from daycare and I loved it. But here I can tell them I need a break, or stop, or that's not okay, or get out of my face. It's some days where you say, get out of my face. You need that. But with them working with the smaller kids and the kids that I tutor, I make sure after every session when I tutor parents, I talk to the parents on the skills that their child needs to work on for that next week. Because it doesn't stop. I'm coming in their house for 30 minutes to an hour. That's nowhere near enough to help them be successful. So now I'm putting the ball in your court. I'm not just tutoring your child. This is for you too. You paying all this money, and I'm an entrepreneur. I want to make my money. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, if I'm not helpful for you, it's a waste of your money. And I'm not about wasting money, because I came from a household where it was things we struggled with. It was times we didn't have. And I mean, that was the norm. You coming from single parent homes where majority of the kids that I work with do. We coming from being not having. I mean, I just did not have, but my mom did not have enough sometimes. So making sure that we're meeting them where they're at too, because this is your job. This is your kid. You got them for 18 years. I may have them for 18 sessions, but this is your kid for 18 years and beyond that.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm really appreciating you, because having people in a space, like you said, you talked about the anger management narrative, the SEL narrative for yourself, but then I can see you checking people in this space of abundance. Like, hold up, let me holler at you.
Every time. every time. And I'm coming with everything that you need. And this has been me from the beginning. But the thing was, it was attitude. It wasn't helpful. It wasn't from a positive stance. It was, you got me messed up. So now let's go. Like, it's being true, because kids respect authenticity. And
Yes.
we are so stuck in the idea that we're just here to teach or to tell. No, we're here to listen, because kids know a lot more than what we think they know. They're completely moving off emotions, where we have like a moral and an ethical compass that we have to think about too. They don't. If they think you're not nice, they gonna say, you mean, get away from me.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
we
you-
can't say that to everybody. So
Yeah.
we just gotta be like, I really don't like you, but I'm at work, so I'm gonna be professional, right? So
But I understand, and I'm gonna get ready to hand you off. But
okay,
we could do interviews in these platforms because she could work at MCEC. You could.
let's go.
That's how we look at it.
I was gonna say I was gonna channel my inner 10th grade Teyondra and say we're gonna have to fight if you don't let me ask her a question, but I won't say that out loud. For the first thing is a question like, when are you gonna run for president? That's what I want to know
Never.
first.
Never. You want me to tell you why?
Yeah.
I do not like grown people at all. If I could be in a room with kids that was 18 and under every day, I would.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So you mentioned a person that I would call one of the saints of Muskegon Public Schools, and her
The
name is
greatest of all time.
Anne-Marie Easley. And I'm just going to say two things, Arma, and see where you go with it. One is puppets, and two is tell us about how she filled a space and how she filled that space for you back in the day.
You want me to be on here all day, don't you?
We got
You,
28 minutes.
hey, you said it. You said it. So when you said
She
Anne-Marie Easley, you know,
she was, what Miss Easley was to me was unexplainable. She was grandma and mom at the same time. She was for real, and this is what you have to do. She was, you're more than this. And it's like, the impact that she had on me was so impactful that even now when I see her, I'm like, oh, you one of the jewels that we can't let go. And you say, she is. She's still all of that, even today.
mhm.
Like when I hear her name, like my heart, like it makes my heart pump. She is amazing. So I can't even put it into words what she is to me.
And I respect your response 100% because when I saw her doing her magic, when she brought out puppets with high school age kids,
And we in there like this.
and people are spellbound. I mean, no one's cutting up. Her puppets heat kids, talk to kids, reach
Because
kids where they are.
it was a presence. It wasn't even the puppets. It was her presence. It was like, she's who needs to run for president, not me.
I would support that candidacy. I would support Anne-Marie Easley for president.
And vice president. She can be both at the same time.
I have a guest here real quick. I'll be right back. Guys, I trust that you'll take care of business, but just give me a sec.
So I have a question for you, Teyondra. You're talking about being strengths-based, and then you went back to your high school self. How do you see those things that you displayed in high school as strengths? How would you interpret that now?
I'm very strong-minded, but I learned how to hone that in and make it present in spaces that matter. Because you don't have to be strong in everything. You can let people lead and let people help you. I talk a lot, as y'all can see, and I learned how to talk when it mattered and put it in spaces where people appreciate it, because people don't always appreciate you talking. And I learned that everything isn't personal, because when you're a very angry child, like I had a lot going on, especially when I had PK. When you're like angry about stuff, you have to unpack that. Like, why are you angry? Where did this anger come from? And at my job I'm currently at, I did cognitive coaching. And it helped me not only unpack myself, but unpack other people that are around me and figure out how their issues were impacting me. And I think I'm just like a strong person all around, but my issue is that I didn't know how to be weak. And now I think I know how to do that a little bit better.
Ooh, sorry about that. We had a dad come in. I just got to ask you this question. I know I just blew in and just threw something and just want to take the floor. That's just who I am. I'm trying to be a better me. It's like I wake up every morning and try not to heat people. Talk to us. I'm gonna put you out there a little bit, but not bad. You had an indomitable spirit in high school, and that can be construed many different ways. I get that. How do you approach and support young people who come and present to you with that same indomitable spirit?
What you want, T or Teyondra? That's the first question, because what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? Here, coming here where I work at now, I work with the entire Kent County, even up to TriCounty. So I go from Byron Center up to Kent City, TriCounty, all the way over to Granville. So that means I get the privileged kids that have that attitude with me, and I get the kids that are from less privileged communities that have that attitude with me. Most of the time when they come from communities like me, they just need love and attention. The ones that are privileged, they need some structure. So meeting them where they're at, figuring out what the issue is and building on that. So
Tri-County. I've been to TriCounty before, but it sounds like you got TriCounty where you at. You can try me if you want to, but we here.
I'm gonna do this because and the thing, and I'm gonna say this too. My Tri-County kids are amazing, but they normally don't see people that look like me.
Talk on that a little bit. Talk about on people being in spaces who look like the kids who enter those spaces.
I'm the only African-American teacher in my building. So every kid that come here, you belong to me. No matter what color you are, but the kids that are colored kids that have melanin, kids that have, they need that little bit of extra support. One year we had a fight and there were two boys, but because every time I seen them, I made sure I spoke to them, literally brought one in my class to sit down. His own class, they couldn't calm him down. Because people that look like you make you feel comfortable. I don't care where you're at. I don't care what you do. I don't care what role you're in. People that look like you make you comfortable. And before last year, I was only African-American in the building.
Yep.
So that was a change. I was like, oh, okay.
Now, I would have imagined way back in the day that you would have ended being probably an attorney, but how did your path veer to becoming a teacher?
Okay, so I went to Central Michigan, and when I went, I was like, I'm gonna be a teacher. Yeah, I'm gonna be a teacher because I love kids. I've always worked with kids. I worked at an after-school program when I was in high school. I always watched my little cousins. I just knew I liked kids. So when I went my first semester, I took a teaching class. It was an 8 a.m. class. Nobody told me because I was first-year college student. Nobody in my family had went. Nobody knew anything. Luckily, that 8 a.m. class was offered at 9, 10, and 11. I was always in there at 11 because I missed the 8 a.m. every time. So, but that they always told us that all the negative aspects of it. So I didn't do it. I said no. I said no. I was like, I'm not being a teacher. No, absolutely not. So I finished at Central. I got my degree in sociology and child development. Sociology with a youth concentration in child development. So I did AmeriCorps for 2 years. I worked at a daycare too, just funneling in and out of jobs, trying to find something. I applied here because I thought it was little kids. But when I was in the interview, I was like, oh, they talking about big kids. Changed my whole trajectory of the interview. I had an amazing teacher that I worked under. I was a parapro when I got hired. She was amazing. Her name is Beth Mazer. She's an older white lady. She's from TriCounty, Pearson, white. I said, lady, this gonna be different. I was like, this gonna be real different. So came in, first year great, second year great. And she started talking about retirement. She was like, you need to go back to school. And where I work at, you can't get just the 3 classes to get the certification to teach. You have to do a whole program. So I went to Western, I did the post-baccalaureate program, and I got a master's in family and consumer sciences. And I just kind of floated into the position because she set me up to be great.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So now that you're not only working with students to become potentially future teachers, so let's, this whole year has been tough because of the pandemic. I get that. What kinds of words would you share if we brought you in? For example, it's the end of the year. We bring all the teachers in from Muskegon Public Schools into the William H. Austin Auditorium, and we want to give them a talk by an educator, by a person who went through the system. What would you tell all of these teachers at the end of May after a whole pandemic? What kinds of words would you share with them?
Flexibility, grace, self-care. If you got those things during this pandemic, you're fine. And self-care could be as much as you turn your phone off for an hour because you don't want to talk to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Because you can't pour into somebody else if your cup is empty.
Very
and
true.
I think as educators, our cup be having the little speckles in it like as it's drying. And we still be trying to give stuff to other people. And that ain't how it works.
So from, here you are in your position. Who were some of the people along the way that you think influenced your path? I know you mentioned the lady whose position you walked in. Were there people at the university level who helped you find your way, people in the community?
I had this lady, Shannon Sexton, who was an educator at Central Michigan. Stephanie Marion, who owns Solutions Unlimited Child Care Centers, who is amazing, like changed my life. This lady, Lavetta Bruce, she was my mentor when I was in high school, and still today she checks on me. I won't say you cussed me out, but you the only teacher that I had that was like, get it together. Miss Lane.
Shari J. Lane.
Oh, she got me together. I was tutoring her daughter. She was like, we rewriting this contract. We going up on prices, all of that. So if the GOAT bring you her kids to tutor them, you to go. She got me together, okay? And just my people in my family, like, they support anything that I do because I'm literally out here trying to break the mold. It's one thing to be an entrepreneur, but to be an entrepreneur in education, it changes the game. For the parents to trust me with their kids, like majority of the kids that I work with now, I didn't know them before I started working with their kids. And that says a lot. So that means somebody told them about me or they seen something. And I think that opportunities fall in your lap or fall on your head. And you like try to run from them for a long time and they just keep coming back. Because after college, I was like, I'm not being a teacher. Being a teacher sucks. I'm not filling out no paperwork. I'm in here now like accommodations. Why I gotta do all this? Like, seriously.
It's a lot. Like,
I've been blessed with great people around me that are saying, go. It was never a stop. It was never, I was around people that was like, oh, that's not a good idea. It was, let's try it.
Yep. So I know I accused Chauncey of asking all the questions. So I'm going to pause now and I'm not allowing anybody anything. I'm going to stop talking for a sec to see if Tom and Chauncey or Brent, you'd like to ask some questions, because I know that I don't want to accuse Chauncey of one thing and then turn around and do the same thing.
Are you good? She pouring a narrative out and just working in spaces. I remember being even here, being at the elementary level, being me and Mr. Linwood Lee being the only 2 African-American male teachers in the whole district. I remember when I was an educator, so sometimes that narrative and seeing him, he was a mentor of mine when I was in the 9th grade. So when I walked right in and I saw him, I was like, he was cool when I was in the 9th grade. When I moved back, he was the first person I gravitated to when I started working in Muskegon Public. So I didn't exactly know what you're talking about, seeing those people. But then when you see those people, those are some of the same people like, oh, they cool, PK cool, Mr. Ellis cool, Brent cool. They all right. They're gonna make sure that
some of them you be like, they ain't cool. I ain't going by them.
So but in the reality of the whole thing is there, you want to see people in spaces with visibility. And something we've been doing here is we've been bringing in people from the community to interview with our students. And I'm noticing students, how they are not, I wouldn't say nervous, but are more interested in U.S. history. And because they got somebody in front of them talking about the history that looks like them. And it's so powerful. And the attention that the person gets, they're not teaching a large class, they're face-to-face, and they're talking to them about their experience growing up in this city or going to this school during the civil rights movement. If you could be a fly on the wall, which I was, that's just, it speaks to what you just said, having that professional conversation with someone that looks like them, but then they can go to other spaces because they got educators that don't look like them that say, I'm gonna put this person in front of you. That's what
support.
Yes.
That's
so those teachers that even though they don't look like the students, but they know that, look, I need people in front of them that look like them, so then my lesson can be impactful to their lives. And then now we can broaden our scope of their potential. So I'm feeling everything you said, Mrs. Burch, and it's very powerful that you're coming from this space. So it's showing our students, because you remind me of some of our girl students, and that's how we approach them. And we have fun with them, but they're so great and they're so loving and so caring towards us. But you just got to open them up. Once they open up, they'll do everything.
Authentic. And that's the word that I use all the time. Like, now, before I started working here, I worked at the Heights, I worked at Moon. So the kid, like, I have kids that I worked with when I first got out of college that's graduating now. And it's still, oh, you did this and you helped me do this, and I'm so much better at this because of you. And we don't want to talk about color, but that matters. Like, representation matters. Being able to have somebody to rely on that looks like your mom or dad matters. And a lot of students don't get that. And if they are, it's normally in a role that's not seen as great. Like, you're not a teacher, so you don't matter. One thing that empowered me when I started working here, the teacher that I work with, she never called me her parapro. She always said my co-teacher. And so in my mind, I was a teacher. Like, I'm a teacher, da 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 da. But we got to realize that those pieces of paper matter, just like my business. Like, I've been doing it since 2017, but I just started being like legit last year. And until your stuff is legit, you hustling. And we're so used to hustling and getting things out of the mud and grinding for nothing that when it comes to making legit, it makes us scared. It makes us not want to because we don't know. Nobody else in our family does stuff that's legit. They just doing stuff, but it's no business name. It's no bank account for their business. It's no savings for their business. They just have a business name.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about that transition from informal to formal business. What did it take out of you or from you to go legit?
Listen, the IRS is watching, so. But no, really, like, I was scared because who wants to pay taxes on money that they make doing stuff that they like, right? So that was the biggest thing for me. Like, I did not want to pay taxes. That was scary to me. So I was getting paid in cash, getting paid on Cash App, and not having a business bank account. But what made me be like, oh, shoot, I'm doing this wrong, when the pandemic hit and they were giving all the legit businesses all the money.
Yep.
Sis couldn't get no money because sis ain't had no money in the bank the year before. No LLC. I'm out here just grinding, hustling backwards at the library from the time I get off work to 8 o'clock at night, seeing kids.
Yep. Something I share with people is this. I always tell them, they think that it's too expensive. Always have an accountant, always have a lawyer, and pay them. Because when it came to the PPP loan, guess who's gonna call you and tell you to go get it? Those two people. Oh, Chauncey, you good? Go and apply for that. I submitted the paperwork for you already. Like, you did? Like, yeah, you got everything already. So
yeah, and it can be forgiven.
Yes, the due diligence to do the work, to have the professionals in the space. Because like you said, a lot of times we get caught up hustling, making money, and then by the time you making money, is your process down on paper on how you receiving it, how you incoming, and how it's coming?
I'm still in that process.
Yeah.
Like, I need the school year to be over so I can sit down and I'm not together. I'm operating at 60% and it's making it harder on my brain because I'm figuring stuff out still. When if this was written down on paper, it wouldn't have to be recreated, because there's no reason to recreate the wheel if you already got the wheel.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna get on a different tangent, but I do got somebody that can help you with your payroll that do a real good job. So
Listen, we here now. We here now.
Okay.
Inbox me. Give me all the details. Give me all the information.
She just got done doing my stuff. So this is what this is about, Paul. We're all about helping each other, but help you do your payroll, everything at the click of a button, and it's worth the process, because what you can do is you can go out and make sure you saving more lives instead of worry about payroll and all that other stuff. You just got to look at the document every week and say, oh, this happened. And that's worth the peace of mind of self-care.
Exactly. And that's self-care within itself, honestly.
That's right. So,
Well, I know, Chauncey, you lots of times talk about legacy and generational wealth and some of those things where families can pass things down to, generations that are coming. And I think Teyandra's made a valid point that without the legitimacy, it's hard to pass that wealth down the line too. Something you said earlier, Teyandra, about the importance of having folks in kids' lives who look like them. What's your take on the sort of push in some circles these days for required ethnic studies in schools? What's your thinking around that? Do you think that there should be history classes should have to teach things beyond what probably you learned? What's your take on that?
Definitely. But if you go teach it right. And have people that know teach it, not people that just went to school and learned, because what I teach don't come from school. It comes from experience. So,
and that goes back to that authenticity. I'm thinking that's where you're going with that.
Every time, like, you can talk to me till you blue in the face about a book that I can go and read. I tell my kids all the time, we do PowerPoints. If I'm telling you what's on a PowerPoint, I'm wasting your time.
Yep. So let's say it's the beginning of the 2021 school year. It's September, and we're back in the William H. Austin Auditorium. It's hotter than blazes. You remember those shout at you talks back in the day when you came in at the beginning of the year, like, you're going to be good and you're not going to cut up. And so instead of doing that, instead of me standing up there saying all those things about what kids are going to do and not going to do, I have a special guest. Her name's Teyandra Burch, Tay Burch. What would you say to all the incoming freshmen at Muskegon High School 2021 September in the Austin Auditorium?
What you do is on you. I can't make you do anything. This is you. This is literally shaping your life. I think something that I've come into contact with, like just coming into teaching, going to career fairs, there's some schools that are doing like academies. So if you want to be a teacher, you follow these. This is your cohort. If you want to be this, you follow this cohort. And I think that's amazing. And it shows kids kind of what you want to do before you get in it, because you spend all this money in college and then you get done and that's still not what you want to do because you have no experience in it. One thing that we push in here is work-based learning. My kids, the preschool, like I said, they go in there at least once a week. Because do you really like kids, or you just getting ready because if you have a kid, it's different. So what do you really want to do? And I think that we need to empower kids to voice those opinions on what they want. Because I remember being in school and it really wasn't up to us what we wanted to do. We got to pick maybe one class, and when it really wasn't picking, it was put on your schedule. And if you ain't like it, you can go to the office and ask them to change it.
Yeah. So you think, or you're saying that more focused education where kids get to do some exploration, try to figure out what they want to do with life.
Give them some independence, because the thing is, we coddle them, and then they're 18 and it's go to college.
Yep.
And I would say you don't have to go to college. It's trade schools. I motivate anybody. If you're not going for free, go where you can go for free.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So I think looking at the time, we're coming close to what your required time to report back to teaching. And did you say English?
They're in English right now.
Oh, I was thinking, if you're teaching English, I'd come and take that class for an hour just to see what's what. But
absolutely not. This is childcare. You get to learn about babies all day in here. If I could go and hold somebody baby and give it back all day, I would do that. I am not teaching English, only for tutoring. So 30 minutes and I'm out.
So we've asked you some questions. What words or what things are on your heart that we didn't touch upon or you didn't share that do you feel like you should share with us today?
Just that where you're at now doesn't dictate your future. There's so many different avenues, and just because we're from Muskegon, so we don't get to see much, right? So, and the internet makes you feel like you're behind all the time, but you're not. You're right on the path where you need to be at. And I think embracing the now, because these kids are in a space of craziness. Like, I graduated last year and didn't get to walk, and I was sad about that. These kids are doing everything abnormal now. Just rest in that, because it's going to be different in a couple of months. It's going to be different in a couple of days. Appreciate that, because this stuff you won't get back. These times you won't get back today, no matter if you're 18 or 58. Whatever you're doing today, embrace that. Be in that moment. Be present. Love on your people, because it's crazy.
Amen to that, because this whole pandemic is going to change it up. But our thing is, let's not go back to where we were. We need to rethink some things, reconfigure some things, and
Restructure.
And I feel like you've been inside our heads, because we've been talking about how do we get kids in spaces so they can do the exploration, so they can figure out what they want to do with their lives, so they can see, hear, taste, and smell it.
And you use your resources. The internet is there. YouTube has everything on there. Watch some videos. And if you connect with those businesses that are close enough for them to walk to or get on the bus and go to, take those field trips, be in those spaces, be present in those spaces, because this is the only time they're getting it for free. After y'all is over.
Mm-hmm. Amen and amen. So last but not least, do you have any shout outs you want to make to your homies from back in the day, or are you good to go?
Listen, I don't want to say anybody because I don't want to forget anybody.
Amen.
Don't put me on that platform and then people be like, I saw you on there and you ain't say my name. No, I'm not doing that. Not at all. Because then I'm gonna have to be back Teyondra, not Miss T.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to drop in with us, to talk about where you are, talk about your happenstance, talk about the way in which you're blessing other people's kids. And for me, as your old English teacher, to you, who you're now a professional, your journey is remarkable and amazing. And I'm glad you found your passion, because I had a feeling back then that once you did, it was a wrap. I mean, it was going to be magic from the rest of that time on out. So
thank you.
So thank you very much, Teyondra. We'll let you get back to your students. Be nice to them, right?
I'll try.
Okay.
Information to you. I'll get the information to Paul.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Y'all have a great day.
We will talk later. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye-bye. So can I get an amen? Can I? Amen.
Come on. I can't get up and run around. You get up and run in the church.
Oh yes.
I'm just gonna get up and I just had to turn around in my chair, do a swivel, because that sister was on point. And you know what she reminds me of? Some of our young ladies in our program right now, they got strong opinion and know what they want to do, but run into these barriers of people that tell them how they see it, their culture, but they don't see the culture that the kid is in. And she ready to confront that narrative, and need people with like that.
And you hit the nail on the head. She has an indomitable spirit. And like all of us, right? She had to find her niche, her place, like we all do. So,
yep. We're working on our awards is it tomorrow? For tomorrow.
Yep.
And just going through the list of our seniors over and over again and looking at them all and checking all their credits and their obligations and all that. And thinking of, when I go through that list, like each name has a story that goes with it. And so many of them match with what we just heard from high school. And to see that in the future, and for it not to be us telling about somebody that we know, but for her to take the time to come on and share that live is so awesome. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm going to hit something you said a while back, Tom, which is after every show we do, it feels like that was the greatest one. That was one of the best. but after every show we do, we all acknowledge that we felt like that after every show. And Tay Burch, same thing. I mean, these narratives are just amazing. But I know I digress, and I know that I have all these interesting boxes on my desk. I have a whole desk full of boxes. So I'll hand it over to Brother White.
Today, first and foremost, give a shout out to Brother Sugan. He took the reins, the wheel, got behind the locomotive, if you will, of the Big Red Eats machine that we've established over the previous. I mean, we've been doing these shows for a long time. It's hard to believe that, you know, all the guests we've had and all the cool food that we've had. And today, we're doing the Pierogi Shack. Now, we've wanted and we've conversed about the fine Polish fare at the Pierogi Shack. However, they don't open till noon. And so the noon start time on the meeting and the noon open time by them, it made it difficult. Sugan stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park. And so I got the Polish platter. And I have a smorgasbord of offerings in front of me, okay? Now, the Polish platter consists of 2 pierogies, all right, which is pierogies and onions. They're the traditional ones with the potatoes. And then I have the sauerkraut and sausage, which I tell you what, I absolutely adore sauerkraut and sausage. Like I'm a sauerkraut and sausage kind of guy. I know it's hard to believe that I turn down just about anything, but that is definitely one thing. You know, you go to any carnival on the planet and they always got like that dog and sauerkraut, onions, and it's not that isn't this, but that's what it reminded me of. And this is actually something that my wife and I make all the time as a meal in the house. And then the cabbage roll. That's not all. Then you have 2 cold offerings of cucumbers and sour cream and potato salad. And it is an absolute smorgasbord. Sugan brought it in. It smells unbelievable. I'm going to start tasting. What did you get, Chauncey?
You know, I live in Detroit, so I had to give me a dog when I saw the dog on there. So, and I like the kosher beef, so they had the beef dog with the sauerkraut on there and the corned beef. I was like with the cheese, and then I like coleslaw, so I seen the cucumbers with the sour cream. I'm like, hold on, what's this? It's going on a hot dog, but I was like, so, you know, I'm not Polish, so I'm struggling, but I'm eating, and I'm like, okay, this is a different taste for the palate. I'm feeling the hot dog all the way because it's beef. I know I'm good. I love corned beef sandwiches. I said, let me go and put that together. I'm only mad that I got 1 hot dog because it's my cheat day. I got 2 hot dogs. That's what I should have got. And the fries come in a little tub. They were hot. Sugan pulled the bag out. Shout out to Sugan. He's a rock star. He pulled the bag was so big. I'm like, that's mine. But for the money, I think I only spent $5, $5 to $7. And that's the part that's the Pierogi Shack is like the Coney Island for real. But the food is not bad. It's not heavily greasy. It's presented well. Hey man, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna say it. It ain't bad. That's what I'm feeling right now. Not bad. And having that speaker, I feel like I'm at a restaurant. I got entertained. I learned. I've been reading material, and she spoke to the same book that I was talking about. She said you can read stuff, but if you're not experiencing it, oh well. So I feel like I had a full course meal with the learning, the entertainment, also the digestion of the information she gave us. And hey, full course for me. Tom, what about you? Oh, Tom, I'm thinking he here.
No, I'm not. So, yeah, I haven't had lunch yet.
You did. I did see that. You did put.
I did. I was looking forward to it. Then, plans changed this morning and had to pull out. And yeah, I'm bummed. So my mouth is watering just hearing about it, and the anticipation is killing me. So I'll have to check it out soon.
So here's the problem. I am part Polish. And as a rule, I don't much care for Polish food. You've heard me talk about pierogies being the non-ravioli ravioli. But I'm here to say these are really good, and they're different from some of the pierogies I've had in the past. They've got a little brown finish on them. They've got the onions. The potato salad's interesting because I think it's got an abundance of dill in it, which is a little different than what I'm accustomed to. The sauerkraut is good. Is the cabbage roll a guamki? Is that what that's called, Brent?
Yeah.
It's really good. Now, am I going to go and get Pierogi Shack sampler platter every day or every week? No, but I don't even get Scribs every day. Well, maybe every week, but it's really good. And so what I'm saying is, it is a worthwhile place to go. It's a worthwhile place to make part of your itinerary of restaurants. And they have really cool packaging. It's almost like the Pierogi Shack spin on the ways in which the Chinese restaurants package their food. It comes hot. It doesn't leak all over the place. It ain't bad. It ain't bad. I just need I need some mustard. I forgot to bring the darn mustard. And I don't put sour cream on stuff usually, except for like nachos. So this big old thing of sour cream they gave, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. So I'm just gonna probably put that in Chauncey's mailbox. So that'll be go next to Grey Poupon.
Where's the mustard?
All right. So what's our SEL for today, Tom?
It just, I feel like we've talked about SEL behind the scenes a lot in the past couple of weeks as we've been meeting on our Wednesdays and making plans and talking about what that means and having Chauncey do the true success lessons for us and putting in that place. And again, it just confirms to me every time what Chauncey suggested when we had our meeting with Austin, that we find a way to capture some of these stories. Not just the ones that we're putting on the MCEC Fam Show, but the ones that are going up on the podcast for WGVU, the ones that are just happening within our building in informal conversations. There is so much wealth and resource and knowledge in our community. And that's the narrative that the MC Fam Show is here to tell, right? I mean, little old Muskegon, and we have everything from, real estate agents who are super successful in the area and are committed to giving back to the area, to doctors of philosophy who are writing books about very complex topics and really picking at the underpinnings of modern philosophy, to, Teyondra, who is just on working at the Career Tech Center, living what we're talking about and describe the exact path that we want to lay out for students. So that SEL lesson, right, the cornerstone of it is self-awareness, and that's it. Be aware of yourself and be confident enough in yourself to not listen to people with negative messages telling you what you aren't when you know what you are. And then find those places where you can pursue what you are, and find those people who are going to invest in you and believe in you. And, sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes you're going to hear some stuff about yourself that you don't want to hear. But if it comes from a person who you trust and respect and is loving you and caring for you, you might need to listen to it, and you might need to go in that direction. And I'm thankful that we work in a place where we get to do that every day with adults and students and the people around us. And that's what we do. So I can't think of a better SEL lesson than the MCEC Fam Show every week. Just listen to it. And I guess the only spin that I would put on it, and I was thinking of this with the lesson you did yesterday, Chauncey, is that idea that we want to get engaged in comparative suffering, right? We want to look at somebody else's story and say, oh, that isn't that bad. Or look at that story and go, wow, that's amazing. My story comes nowhere near that. And so in either of those times, we're taking away from that person's story and our own by trying to make it a comparison and a competition. And the real message, that's not why anybody's sharing their story. Everybody's sharing their story because it's their story. And they think that, those stories deserve to be shared. They deserve to be heard. And then our responsibility is just to listen and to accept it and say, yep, that's what happened to them. And then, do with it what you will, but don't think that anybody sharing their story to put your story down, or that your story is so much worse or better or whatever that they don't have anything to share with you.
You're exactly right. I was, being in the building, sometimes like kids will come in and talk to you. And like some of the kids will just call me Chauncey. And I used to think like, I don't care about no title. Coming to see me. You making your way early in the morning. I'm one of the first people you want to see. You might see PK first. You might see Mr. Ellis. Hey, Chauncey. And I think I'm like, man, I'm old enough to be your daddy. But I don't even say nothing. I'm like, you acknowledging me who I am. And I'm appreciating that you see me in a space where you can call me by my first name. Because sometimes, the professional you like, oh, I'm doctor, I'm this, I'm person, I'm Mr. If you don't address me by this, that's where we lose our kids at. Because then they might have something to tell us by calling you by your first name. And that's the comparison thing for them. They like, if I don't call him Mr. Williams, I call him Chauncey, I might tell him something that I tell another 16-year-old. That's how I look at it. And that's like, okay, he called me Chauncey. So even though he about to kick it with me and really tell me something that he probably wouldn't tell another adult, and I could be able to help him expand it in that space. So that's how I've been looking at it from a space of abundance for myself. But like you said, Tom, we're all in that space where we always are like, okay, what does that mean? How can I help them? How can I reach them? And how can I help them see further than I can see? And how can they bring it back to me? So, man, it's just, we winning, man. But every day we're fighting.
Yep.
That's what I look at it as. And if we get out that comparative state that somebody doing better or somebody's story is worse than ours, I think we'll do amazing work. So, but I appreciate being here because that could be a referral. Chauncey, go ahead, he called me, he didn't address me the right person. I'm like, nope, Chauncey, that's cool. If you see me like that, I'll live with that.
And that's an interesting thing to bring up because I've been thinking about that, right? We're talking about plans that go far beyond high school graduation for our students and being a part of that story, and not because it's going to magnify anything about us, but because it's going to magnify them. It's going to help them be their best selves in the future. And like, what does it mean when you're 25 and you come back and in that situation and you feel that requirement to refer to somebody like you did when you were in school? Like, what if we get rid of that? What if we are Chauncey, Tom, Paul, and Brett, and not Mr. Williams, Mr. Kurzel, Mr. Ellis, and Mr. White? What does that look like? So that's interesting you brought that up.
But they'll address you when they address
Sure.
you. Another thing for us at the SEL level, when we were selecting students for their awards, our seniors, our 60-something seniors, I noticed something. Like, I picked 4 kids and our staff picked 4. But we didn't have a meeting and say, pick this kid. Like, the same things that we're doing intentionally to kids, they pick that up and do it right back to us. And that helped us pick citizenship, overall improvement, achievement. These names are like, it's like names that's coming up 10, 12 times. I'm like, but then when you see that person, they do exactly that to you. Like, they're like, oh, wait, when I get to the building, I'm gonna do this to this person and this person. Make sure I say this to all the teachers. I'm like, oh, they setting us up, coach. And that's what I feel like. They're learning the behaviors and the mannerism that they could be called Mr. or Mrs. Or
Absolutely.
Miss. They're learning the protocol through us by letting our hair down and saying, hey, okay, I'm Chauncey, but you still watching me be Mr. Williams.
And I know that we're almost done here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Brent got something for Tatiana and didn't just get something for himself. So if you're listening, Tatiana, hopefully Brent has given you something from the Pierogi Shack. Brent has a loss for words.
He was in the clear
diary
until you
just got
brought that
another
up.
entry.
He was going to be fine until you said that.
I was almost out, almost there. You know what? That's it, Paul. This is war. This is war. You got 2 daughters and a wife. I'm going to figure something out here.
And I can't say anything back to you in form of rebuttal, because should they watch it, they may get annoyed if I put their business out there like that. So in light of causing familial discord, Chauncey, are you going to take us home?
Hey, you lucky we in COVID, because You get jumped on, Paul.
Now I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. My wife, I refer to her as my beautiful bride,
Uh-oh.
is an amazing human being. And I just got to do a little shout out. Yesterday, a little bunny fell into my mom's pool. Maddie rescued the bunny, brought it home. And I swear to you, my wife did CPR. I mean, she didn't put her mouth on the bunny. She just did the chest compressions really fast because bunnies, function at a faster level than we do. And they successfully were able to bring the rabbit back to consciousness. And then my other daughter, Liz, took the rabbit to some place that takes animals like that in Grand Rapids. So they remind me daily of the person I ought to be, because the person that I was different than the outcome that they achieved together by being better than I was.
Well
So I'm
put.
just going to say that.
That's a
So
good way. That's a good way to shut it down.
That's my Maya culpa for today.
Yeah, shut it down. It's a good way to shut it down. Well, let's get up out of here. Well, that's the end of our live hour. Thanks for tuning into the MCEC Fam Show, the place where the center of your child's education is magnified in the collaborating community.
Have a great weekend, everybody.